this video, I'm going to show you one file which seems to me a bad coding example file. I'll discuss why I think that this coding is a bad coding example and how can we improve that. Okay, I think I'll record 2 or 3 more videos on this topic so that I can show you in a real time how can we improve this and write some clean and reusable code. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to explain why I think that this code is bad. Let's get started. So this is that sample file, bad coding example file. I'll try to provide the code. I'll not be able to upload the main file, so I'll just upload the code so we can see that. If we go into the developer tab and then Visual Basic, then we'll see that this code resides in a sit module. Okay, and if you look into this code, then you'll see that we have around 2039 line of code and it's only one sub. So that's the first example or first consideration that why this is a bad code. So you can see that we have a sub that is 2039 line long and we don't have any other sub in this particular module. If you look into this start at the first line and it ends at 2039 number line, and we don't have any other sub. If you look into this, then you'll see that we do have only this change sub. If you choose general, still you'll see that we don't have any other sub. Okay, so that is the first thing that I consider this one as a bad code. Okay, it shouldn't be this much long. Doesn't matter whatever you are doing, this shouldn't be this much longer. Now the next thing is that if you look carefully, then you'll see that we do have some condition here. Okay, like if target equals to 1. So first thing in this section, that this target, it's a range, right? If you look into this section, that it says range type, and we are not specifying that what method or property we want to use, right? Do you want to use value, or do you want to use text or value too, right? So that's another problem. Just to let you know that if you don't specify, then it will use the default method, and for this range type it's value, so it will use the value. I understand, but it's not explicit that okay, this will be a value. Okay, so that is the second problem in this particular code. I understand that it's protecting each of the seed. I could do a better job, like I could extract this out and create a sub that protects it or unprotects it. Okay, but that will be in a refactoring ways, or we can refactor it out to a smaller sub. In that way, we'll be able to reuse them in multiple places. So that's another issue. We could reuse this, but it's not end of the world. But in this one, I would expect that it should be target.value or target.text equal to 1. In this case, it could be a string or something like that in the cell, but that's not a problem. But if target.value equal to 1, then it would be better. Okay, so that's the second thing. I could create a sub for this one. That's another part. Okay, and then if you look carefully, then you can see that I'm saying that okay, worksheet 2.participant eligibility, and in this section I'm saying sheets2/participants eligibility, right? So in this one, you can see in some places I am saying worksheets and in some places I am saying seats. So that's another red flag. We shouldn't do this. We should always use either worksheet or if you want to use seats. Most of the time we should use worksheets. There are some certain cases where maybe seats are benefits, but that doesn't make any sense for this one. Okay, and if you search for this one, okay, I'll just show you that if you just search for this one, then you will see that I do have multiple references, right? So the other problem is that we should have a variable to hold that particular seed and use that particular variable instead of getting that particular seeds from the seeds or worksheet. It doesn't matter actually, but we should have a variable to hold that worksheet. Okay, and use that worksheet. So that's another part. Now same way for all of these seeds. Okay, I'm just explaining for one seed so you understand that. Okay, if you look carefully, that I do have one condition here, target equals to 1. I do have another condition here, target equals to 2, and I do have another condition here, target equals to 3, right? And if you look into this, then you will see that I do have around, I guess 60, yes, I do have around 60 different condition, okay, and 60 different if else, like if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 3, if it's 4, and so on. Now this is another bad code criteria for me, is that I'm just repeating stuff. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, so I'll just copy this, okay, and then I'll just use diff checker to show you the difference between these two different conditions. Okay, so this is for first condition, that if target equals to 1. Now I'll just select this if target equals to 2, and I'll just show you what's the difference between these two parts. And if you look at this, it says row 29, but here it says row 29 to 30. Here it says 30 to 88, 31 to 88. And if you look this carefully, then you will see that it's just repeating itself. Okay, so 29, 30 to 88, 29, 30 to 88, 29, 30 to 88. But it's just for different worksheets, right? You can see that we have worksheets. So this is 2 participants eligibility, this is 3 payroll recalculation, contribution recalculation, and so on. So we are doing the same stuff for each of this set, but we are doing this multiple times. Okay, so we have 2 different repeating here. One is that we are doing for each seat. Okay, so false true, false true, false true, false true, false true, right? So we are doing the same operation on this 5 seat, and we are repeating this code. Okay, so that's another red flag. Okay, so we should have a particular sub, a smaller sub, that will just do this hiding and unhiding stuff. Okay, and you can just pass this, that so what should be the row, is this 29, and what should be the end row. So if you look at this carefully, then you see that okay, when the value is 1, then we're just saying that okay, row 29, grab the row 29, and this will be whatever we have in this plus 1, and go up to 88. But when we go into the 2, then you will see that it says start from 29 and go up to this minus 1, okay, plus 29. So 29 plus 2 minus 1, so 30. And if you look at this carefully, for this third one, same thing, 29 plus 3, that is 32, minus 1, that is 31. So you are just saying this, that okay, whatever the target value, so if it's 15, then add 29 plus 15 minus 1, so that should be this part. And this one will be whatever we have in this ending part plus 1. So that is just 29 plus 15, and go up to 88. And that's it. Nothing else. Okay. That's the difference. You can see that 60 if else, we could reduce it to much smaller. And we could reduce this part of the code as well to have a different sub, and we can just pass different worksheet. Or even, we can create an array of worksheets with this 5 different worksheets, and then we can just pass those 5 different worksheets at once, and it will just do those operation on the whole array of worksheets. So that's another red flag for this code. Okay, I have seen that there are some smaller difference after certain target value, so I think that was around 20 or something like that, but still you can do that. Okay, if it's less than 20, then do this. If it's greater than 20, then do this. Okay, so I'll just show you this in a real demo in my next video, I hope so. So consider subscribing so that you get that notification for that upcoming video. Okay, so that is another red flag. Now let me just show you one more issue here. Now if you look at this carefully, then it says this target.address 00 equals to C8, right? And if you go after target equals to 60, so let me just find that. So F, so instead of 4, I'll just use 60. So that's the last else if. Now you can see we are saying again that if this is not C8 but C12, right? So it says target.address 00 equals to C12. Okay. Now it says C12. Then we have a bunch of code again. Okay. And then if it's C14, then we have another code. Then C17, another code, and so on. And this has a lot of if and else as well. So you can see it's a nested if and else. So we have outer level if else, we have inner level if else, that's 2 if else. So ideally what I would do, I would just create one sub for this part. Okay, if it's C8, if it's C12, if it's C14 or whatever. So I create one sub for each of these, and we can use a meaningful name for that particular. So that's another stuff. Okay, we could just refactor out this particular code to a smaller sub, and you can use that sub into this main particular sub or this change sub. Now one more problem with this code is that when it says target.address equals to C8, it's little bit confusing that what does this C8 means. Is this means like C8 has some kind of identifier that okay, if it's number of test user, or if they have responded or not, or how many number of user or something like that, right? So I need to know that okay, what this C8 means. Is this means that number of user, okay, or number of test cases. So in that case it will be much more meaningful, right? So instead of creating this sub at one place, I could just extract out this, and then I could just use a meaningful sub procedure name, and then I can use that. Okay, that's another issue with this code. Okay, and this particular sub is super long actually, so I request you to go through this. You will learn a lot from this particular code, because you can avoid this mistake. Okay, and you can see it says C20 and then C23, C30 and so on and so on, and C51. And if you look at this carefully again, that 55, 59, 61, 62, 65, 67 and so on, and we're just saying that okay, for each of this cell use this empty string, but we should use maybe null string instead of empty string. We should explicitly say that seed name or seed code name dot cells instead of just cells. Okay, so that's another red flag. And if you look at this carefully, you'll see that there are multiple places where we are using implicit references. Okay, like we don't say that from which seed of this particular cells or from which seed rows. Okay, so this should be replaced with seed1 dot cells or something like that. For this particular option, I think it doesn't make that much of difficulties, but it's better to explicitly say that okay, this particular cells is from seed 1 or seed 2 or seed 3, whatever. Okay, and if you look at this carefully again, that this password is being duplicated multiple times. I can just show you, and if you look at this, it's duplicated n times, I guess. So we should create constant instead of duplicating this particular password. Okay, we should have a constant that is to that password. So if we want to change in the later time, we can just change in one place and the code will be okay, right? So that's another thing. And let's see, again doing that protecting stuff, and it is this specifying all of this stuff, do this, do this, do this, do this and so on. But it's doing the same thing for those 6 different seed. So I think we should have another particular sub that just do the protecting stuff. So we should have a sub that do this unprotecting, another sub for protecting, another smaller sub for each of those cases, like if it's C8, if it's C13, C12 and so on. And then we should have another sub just do the hiding and unhiding stuff and so on. So I will show you in a real example. I'll just copy this code and I'll just do the refactoring, I hope in my next video or in upcoming videos. So let me know if you find anything else that I missed in this video in the comment section, and consider subscribing. Have a good day.